Magic, White and Black, the science on finite and infinite life. What can this inner ego be, which lives through death and changes during life, except a spiritual ray of life, obtaining relative consciousness by coming in contact with matter? Is any man certain of his own existence? All the proof we have of our existence is in our own self-consciousness, in the feeling of the I am, which is the realization of our existence. Every other state of consciousness is subject to change. The consciousness of one moment differs from that of another, according to the changes which take place in the conditions which surround us, and according to the variety of our impressions. We are craving for change and death. To remain always the same would be torture. Old impressions die and are replaced with new ones, and we rejoice to see the old ones die so that the new ones may step into their places. We do not make our impressions ourselves, but we receive them from the outside world. If it were possible that two or more persons could be born and educated under exactly the same conditions, having the same character and receiving always the same impressions, they would always have the same thoughts, the same feelings and desires. Their consciousness would be identical, and they might be considered as forming collectively only one person. A person having forgotten all the mental impressions he ever received and receiving no new ones might exist for all ages, living in eternal imbecility with no consciousness whatever except the consciousness of the I am, and that consciousness could not cease to exist as long as his personality were capable to recognize its existence relatively to itself. This would be the only condition in which a person could possibly exist. If he had gained no spiritual self-knowledge, and if he were to cease to receive any impressions from the external world. And similar to this may be the state of such a person after the death of his body, if during life he has not attained any higher knowledge than that which refers to perishing things. Having no spiritual consciousness, he can have no spiritual perceptions. He can bring with him into the spiritual world nothing except his own ignorance. His sensations leave him at death, and the images received in his mind during life will fade away. The intellectual forces which have been set into motion by his scientific pursuits will be exhausted, and after that time the spirit of such a person, even if he has been during life the greatest scientist, speculator and logician, will be nothing but an imbecile, living in darkness and being drawn irresistibly towards reincarnation, to re-embody itself again under any circumstances whatever, to escape from nothingness into existence. Under whatever form life may exist, it is only relative. A stone, a plant, an animal, a man or God, each has an existence for itself, and each exists only for the others, as long as the others are conscious of his existence. Man looks upon the existence below him as incomplete, and the incomplete beings below him know little about him. Man knows little about any superior beings, and yet there may be such looking upon him with pity as he would look upon an inferior animal, an ape that has not yet awakened to a realization of its own nature. Those who are supposed to know inform us that there is no being in the universe superior to the man having become conscious of his own divine and immortal nature, but that there are innumerable invisible beings who are either far superior or inferior to mortal man as we know him. In other words, the highest beings in the universe are such as have once been men. But the men and women of our present civilization may have to progress through millions of ages before they attain that state of perfection which such beings possess. Existence is relative. There is something in me which causes me to live and to think. I may call it I or God. In either case, it is intellectually incomprehensible, and it has no existence for me of which I am conscious, as long as I do not realize the relation between this unknown something and my own nature. Nevertheless it is, for if it were nothing, it could not cause me to live and to think. It is the source of my being, and therefore it is existence, and my nature is its manifestation. In realizing my own existence, existence becomes to me a reality. To realize the nature of divine being is to enter into that state. We are accustomed to look upon that which we perceive with our senses as real, and upon everything else as unreal. And yet our daily experience teaches us that our senses cannot be trusted if we wish to distinguish between the true and the false. We see the sun rise in the east, see him travel along the sky during the day, and disappear again in the west. But every child nowadays knows that this apparent movement is only an illusion caused by the turning of the earth. At night we see the fixed stars above our heads. They look insignificant compared with the wide expanse of the earth and the ocean. And yet we are told that they are blazing suns, in comparison with which our Mother Earth is only a speck of dust. Nothing seems to us more quiet and tranquil than the solid rocks under our feet. And yet the earth whereon we live whirls with tremendous velocity through space. The mountains seem to be everlasting, but continents sink beneath the waters of the ocean and rise again above its surface. Below our feet moves with ebbs and tides the swelling bosom of our apparently solid mother, the earth. Above our heads seems to be nothing tangible, and yet we live on the very bottom of the airy ocean above us, and do not know the things that may perhaps live in its currents or upon its surface. K-stream of light seems to descend from the sun to our planet, and yet darkness is said to exist between the atmosphere of the earth and the sun, where no meteoric matter exists to cause a reflection. While again we are surrounded by an ocean of light of a higher order which appears to us to be darkness, because the nerves of our bodies have not yet been sufficiently developed to react under the influence of the astral light. The image reflected in the mirror seems a reality to the unreasoning mind. The voice of an echo may be mistaken for the voice of a man. We often dream when awake, and while believing to be awake, we are asleep.